Welcome to this Labor Day edition of This Week in Agriculture. I'm Christopher Holder. On this week's presentation, we bring you activities of Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa for week ending April 30. We see that he has been rather engaged across the country. He was part of Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo's outreach in Region 5, and of course he got some kudos from farmers there who described him as very helpful and willing to go the extra mile in providing assistance to those in need, especially during the flood situation last year, in which farmers lost their produce and livelihoods and so on. So there was some good news there for the minister. Certainly reward for all the hard work, recognition of the effort he puts in. Again, in Region 6 yesterday, Saturday that is, Minister Mustafa again received much praise from residents at meetings he held, again praising his responsiveness to their concerns and issues and moving immediately to have those issues resolved. Again, some may not be resolved in a timely manner, but again, residents are happy that at least something is happening, progress is occurring within their communities. Be it Central, Upper, Lower Quarantine, the East Bank, Upper Beast, wherever it is. Across the country, agriculture development is happening. And so our farmers and residents across the country are beginning to recognize that things are happening in their favor. And so hopefully they'll put their shoulders to the wheel and help in this national effort to make Guyana once again the breadbasket of the Caribbean. This Week in Agriculture is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and advertising based in East Rabies. We will be back after these messages. Farmers and the members of the public in general are being advised that tampering with drainage and irrigation structures in any way is prohibited under the Drainage and Irrigation Act. So too are practices that result in damage to access dams, such as using an inadequate length of tube to irrigate farmlands, resulting in erosion of the earthen dams. Also contrary to the Drainage and Irrigation Act is the practice of erecting structures or planting on government reserves. This will not be condoned. These reserves are to be clear at all times to provide access for the excavation of the channels. Livestock farmers should also be aware that they are liable for any damages caused by their cattle or swine to dams or reserves alongside D&I channels, as is the case when the animals cross these channels. Individuals wishing to erect bridges across D&I structures should first contact the NDIA before doing so. Those found guilty under the Act are liable to fines and imprisonment for up to 3 months. A message from the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, Ministry of Agriculture. The National Agricultural Research and Extension Institute offers specialized services to Guyana's crop farmers. We conduct research and provide extension and quarantine services to ensure Guyana's food and nutrition security, sustainable agricultural development, and income generation for our farmers. We assist farmers to adapt climate-smart technologies, and at a subsidized cost, farmers could now purchase shade plastic, shade mesh, and irrigation sprinklers to avoid crop loss from the effects of climate change. Our organic soil enhancers are inexpensive and a viable alternative to imported brands. Farm certification, import and export permits for agricultural commodities, soil testing, pest and disease management, among other services, are provided free of cost. Farmers can access quality planting citrus material at our 9 plant nursery locations. We are working with Hope Estate and other stakeholders to resuscitate the coconut industry. For more information, visit our website or call us on telephone number 220-2841, 220-5730.
Rabies is a disease that is almost always fatal, but is 100% preventable. It is a disease that affects humans and all other warm-blooded animals. The GLDA wishes to stress that a rabies outbreak can result in the deaths of the animals, inclusive of horses, cattle, and small ruminants, leading to economic losses. Further, rabies is a zoonotic disease and can be transmitted to humans, resulting in fatalities. The GLDA is urging cattle farmers, especially those in regions 2, 3, 6, and 9, to vaccinate all their animals that are 3 months and older against rabies immediately and on a yearly basis. A message from the Guyana Livestock Development Authority, Ministry of Agriculture.
On On Monday, we heard that Guyana's rice industry realized approximately $7.7 billion in export earnings for the first quarter this year. This is through the export of approximately 49,000 tons of rice and rice products produced during the first quarter of 2022. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, it is expected that despite the many challenges facing rice farmers, export revenue from rice is expected to grow even more, since many farmers across the country are still harvesting paddy from the first crop. In November last year, at the completion of the sowing period, the Ghana Rice Development Board, GRDB, had projected a bumper harvest this first crop, but a number of factors have impacted this projection, including the current weather affecting the ongoing harvest. A total of 30% of the total acreage sown of 196,000 acres remain to be harvested, with the government pumping millions into ensuring that dams are repaired to allow farmers to bring out their remaining paddy despite the inclement weather. Later in the week, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa hosted another signing ceremony for the award of Capital Works contracts for the year 2022 at his Regent Street office. The contracts signed amounted to more than $1 billion Guyana dollars and is for works aimed at further developing the agriculture sector. Among these were contracts to construct and rehabilitate critical structures and to supply various types of equipment and services. Speaking at the signing ceremony held in the ministry's boardroom, the Agriculture Minister, in brief remarks prior to the signing, said the contracts form part of government's goal of delivering quality services and infrastructure to the citizens of the country. He impressed upon the contractors present the importance of them sticking to the letter and intent of the contracts in terms of the quality of work or services and the time frame allotted for completion or delivery.
This here are very important and critical for us. I want to urge contractor that we will not extend the time. Last year we have had some problems with contracts. Let us hope that we correct those problems and work and get this work finished on time. You know for a fact now that I have been saying this at almost all the contract signing, that the agriculture sector is very, very critical for us and important. As a government, we are putting a lot of budgetary allocation in this sector, and we have seen increased allocations, and not only from the regular agencies like NDIA, NAREI, but places like the GMC, the GRDB, because we are looking at certain results that we want. And that is why we are now constructing things like drying floor. You know, drying floor are critical for us around the country because many times people still tend to dry their paddy on their public road. And you have conflict between motorists and farmers. You have conflict between pedestrians and farmers, and so we are looking at to build these drying floors so that farmers can have use of these drying floor. We are also, for GRDB, we are looking to increase the capacity of our rice research station. We have seen production in the rice sector moving up drastically. The yields per acre, we have moved from almost how much, 5.2 to
2.9 to 5.2.
2.9 to 5.2 tons per acres. So we are seeing that we are making a lot of progress in the agriculture sector. That is why we are seeing increased budgetary allocation. And you are the critical link for us. You are the critical support that you must we have to have from this sector, because works that we have planned, you have to execute it on time. Although this is your job, we are paying you to execute these services. We want also you to ensure that you do the work on time, do the work with a certain standard that are in the specification of the contract, and at the end of it, everyone must be satisfied. The workers who doing the work are the contractors, the agencies, and more importantly, the beneficiaries. You know for a fact that our president and both the vice president and the president and the vice president, they have been going around the country themselves. And when works are done in a substandard way, people are reporting it directly to them too. Although ministers and cabinet members have been going around the country. But these reports, sometimes when we go to certain areas and the works are not done to the standard, we are getting serious complaints, and then contractors also. We have had cause to write to the National Procurement Board that we don't want to keep certain relation with certain contractors because of our problem experiences.
Contracts were signed for the construction of pump stations, a drying floor, and all-weather road, shade houses, and also for the supply of an agriculture drone. During the week also, Minister Mustafa joined Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo and other cabinet colleagues for an outreach exercise conducted in Region 5. Several meetings were held across the region and allowed for residents to interact directly with the Vice President and cabinet ministers and raise issues of concern to them. Several community representatives at the various meetings spoke of their satisfaction at the work of the Ministry of Agriculture and by extension the minister himself, whom they described as very responsive to their issues and concerns, especially during the challenges they faced during the devastating floods last year. On Saturday, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa traveled to Region 6 with his team of department heads and technical staff for an outreach to communities lower and central quarantine, and also paid a visit to the East Bank Berbice farmer who is successfully cultivating several varieties of grapes. He also met with residents of the new Glasgow housing scheme in the area. During the meeting at the new Glasgow housing scheme, residents complained about issues relative to the collection of garbage and other issues related to drainage and irrigation. Minister Mustafa, in response to their complaints, promised a number of interventions, including having a team from the NDIA visit with them in the new week to assess the scope of what is needed in terms of improving drainage and irrigation in the community. Minister Mustafa has also promised to engage his colleague ministers to have issues relative to garbage collection, streets, and crime in the area addressed in a timely manner. At Topu, Lower Quarantine, issues raised with Minister Mustafa centered on lack of street lighting, bad roads, and about the poor performance of the local NDC. In response to the issues raised, Minister Mustafa pledged the provision of 12 street lights for the area and promised that he would engage with the responsible ministers for help in regards to the streets not included in this year's program for community road upgrades. The Agriculture Minister also took the opportunity to impress upon the residents of Topu that government is committed to supporting every single community across the country and that none will be excluded or sidelined in the development program of the PPPC government. He noted that there are always issues that will need addressing from time to time, and residents will need to represent those issues without fear, as it is only through such a partnership in which there is feedback that progress will be realized.
So never in your thinking feel that the PPP civic will neglect you. You might have issues. You might have a lot of issues that needs attention, but sometimes it might not happen as you wanted it to happen. And you have to also display some patience. I know for a fact that when there are certain issues, when there are certain problems in the community, and the entire community is being faced with these problems, you want it to resolve, and sometimes when you raise it with officials and you are not getting results, it might put you to go in another level of agitation. So it's nothing for us that you raise your concern and you agitate and you make all kinds of remarks. That's a normal thing for us. I think that's the way that we tolerate you. We know how you all raise concerns. But we have to also appreciate what the government has been doing over the last 20 months. Well, we can say nothing and sometimes we can say a lot of things. So I will tell you what we have done. Right? You might not have seen it. You have not have been seeing it. But we should not be so allow things to cloud our judgment. Because when we took over this country 20 months ago, things was gone very bad.
Residents of Topu were also challenged to come out for a major cleanup exercise of the community.
So I want to challenge the community The regional chairman with the vice chairman will organize a cleanup campaign for Topu at a Sunday with Gaisuko. If I have time, I will come and join you all. I want the entire community to come out and clean Topu. You all agree with me? Everybody, every house must have a representative. And the regional chairman will organize it. Right? So all the bush we will send machine, we will send equipment. What has to be done if to get the rubbish, the tractor will move it out. We'll ask that machine come in here for that day and clean out all the places. The part of the dam, the part of the area that need to be excavated there, that you said the machine left halfway, the engineer will look at it to see that we rectify that problem. Right? Good, so we'll work at that.
At Manchester, the quarantine Minister Mustafa was greeted with much enthusiasm, with residents of the Hogstyle, Liverpool, Lancaster communities praising the work of the Ministry of Agriculture in resolving the many issues that have plagued the communities over the years. Residents said that Minister Mustafa has over the past 20 months proven to be the best agriculture minister yet.
I must congratulate you on your appointment as Agriculture Minister. You is one of those suited minister to the said position. You know, I mean, so much congratulations.
I pause this program for whatsoever is there. And for me, this is one of the best agriculture minister. For 25 years, we planted rice. You give us a visit, go often between people, and continue give us a visit. We applaud you for everything that you have done. And to commence, the last time we met at Bushland, I asked you something between the areas like drainage and irrigation. It was so truthful that you say, well, I can't give you 15, but I'll give you 5.
To each and everyone, especially the head table, the minister, who take time off from his busy schedule to be with us in this community. We welcome you, sir, for your visit. Sir, I do appreciate what you are doing and would do more for us in the community, because I could give an example of what you are doing. I give you a call and give you a visit, and in 3 to 4 days after, I saw results, which was good for about 60 people in this community. So I must commend you, sir, for your behavior pattern. Sir, I do hope that you continue visiting us, and what we said to you that we need will be urgently looked at. Please, sir, look us as your children. You are our father. We need you. And you need us as children. Because when father gets children and they not play, then the family ain't going good. So, sir, please, we are asking that everything that we ask, if it can happen so quick, like when I ask you, let it please happen, sir. Thank you.
Last year during the flood, the minister and his team visit and made a promise that, well, to me as a farmer, that you'll get us back on our feet. And yesterday about what young farmers that received the Black Giant, I want to say thanks to the minister, Mr. Water, and everyone that made it possible. And finally, politicians taking on a award. Thank you very much.
Residents also took the opportunity to raise with the Agriculture Minister several issues that has to do with improving on work already affected in the area, additional work that residents said would sort out the remaining problems relative to drainage and irrigation. Those farmers who have not yet received their flood relief assistance check were also assured that their monies would be handed over to them in the coming week or two. During his presentation, Minister Mustafa told residents of the various communities gathered at that meeting that they play a critical role in government's plan of development for all of Guyana.
As a government, we want to listen to you, your proposals. That is why I didn't speak first. I came to listen so that we can discuss some of the concerns. And over the last year or so,
we have seen not only myself, but a number of other ministers, His Excellency the President was here too. So all the areas in this country we have been visiting. As a matter of fact, we have been traversing the length and breadth of this country to listen to people's problems, to see how we can resolve it, and at the same time to see how we can bring ease to their plights and suffering. And this afternoon, I don't think that there were many issues raised like what were raised before. So that means something is working, and we are having things being done in the community. Although we cannot have everything to be done one time, I want to assure you as your Minister of Agriculture that we will work with the community to ensure that we deal with all the issues so that we can resolve the problems that are affecting the community. So last time I came here and at Central Quarantine, there were a number of issues that were raised. And I made certain commitments, and I am glad that those commitments were kept. And we will continue to make interventions so that you, the farmers who are producing, we can put in the necessary infrastructure so that you can benefit. I know for a fact that when farmers don't have the kind of infrastructure, when they don't have drainage and irrigation, and they throw they go to the land to plant, and when there is a rainfall, heavy rainfall, they lose their crop. They take money from the bank, they take loan other places, and the burden becomes on them to get money to repay these things. So much so that some farmers just end up with other issues, social issues. So we recognize the fact that there are much work to be done in and around the agriculture sector. And over the last 20 months since I became Minister of Agriculture, we have tried our utmost to bring relief to the farmers, to people who we find are important people. People for us who produces the food of our country. And you are very important. Sometimes we don't recognize the importance of farmers. If there is no farmers in our country, we will have to import every single item that we consume. Today, as a country, we are producing almost 51% of the food that we consume. And we have to up that. We have to produce way past 75–80% of the food. That is why as a country and as a government, we are not waiting for things to happen, but we are causing things to happen. You might have some grievances, we might have made some commitments, and some of those commitments were not kept. For example, the comments talk about the Kukwit Savannah. We heard the engineer said the engineer estimate was sent to the NDIA office. I asked the Director General, who is head of that tender board, to ensure the first thing next week, he get that and then award a contract so that we can get the excavation of those canals. Because I know those comrades, they have raised it at a number of areas, a number of meetings that we have had, and I think it's important that we not only concentrate on one sector in the agriculture sector, but we concentrate on many sectors, because the agriculture sector made up of many other sectors. You have crops, you have livestock, you have fisheries, you have a lot of other things fall within the Ministry of Agriculture. So we have a lot of responsibilities. Almost 13 agencies falls within the Ministry of Agriculture. But what we were able to do, and you all must also recognize it, that we have seen a renewed interest in agriculture today. we are seeing more and more people are coming into agriculture. And more people will have come in if they are not seeing something that is there, if they are not seeing a future in the agriculture sector. And as a government, we recognize the importance of the agriculture sector to the development of our country. The agriculture sector has been one of the sectors that have stood the test of time. The agriculture sector is a sector that is responsible for almost all of our development that took place from independence to now, and even before independence. And we will not make the same kind of mistakes that other countries made when they discover oil and gas. They neglected the agriculture sector, and when now they are running out of oil and gas, they are running back to try to restart or resuscitate the agriculture sector. And both His Excellency the President, our Vice President, and the Cabinet, we recognize that for our economy to be strong, it must rest on a number of pillars. Oil and gas is one, agriculture is another, mining and other sectors within the economy. So when there is a problem with one of the pillars, one of the sector, the economy cannot be crashed. And that is why you will see not too long ago, a few weeks back, the Vice President would have held a meeting with farmers and stakeholders from regions 2 to 6, looking at ways how we can set up permanent drainage structures so that we can take care of the drainage problems in our country.
Earlier in the day, Minister Mustafa had stopped by the home of the late Mrs. Wenumati Permaul, mother of national cricketer Veerasamy Permaul, where he extended condolences to the Permaul family and commiserated with the cricketer and other members of the family. And that's all the time we have on this week's edition of This Week in Agriculture, our Labor Day edition. Certainly hope that you made good use of this day. Tomorrow is a holiday, and of course, if you're going to go out, you're going to go drinking, don't drive, behave in a responsible manner. We want to have you back again with us next week when we bring you another edition of this program. It brings you up to date on what's happening in the agriculture sector. I'm Christopher Holder. This program is produced for television by Matrix Video Productions and Advertising based in East Rabies. We will be back again next week. Until then, be good to yourselves and to each other.